Hello and welcome to Cube Speed. My name's Richard, and in today's video we're going to show you how to replace the shifter bushings on your Supra W55, W57, W58 or R154 gearbox with the direct mount type shifter housing. So first we might start just with this shifter and gearbox we've got here. So we'll just put this shifter in the gear. So if your shifter lever's moving around like that when it's in gear, it's a pretty good sign your shifter bushes are absolutely completely shot. So we're going to move on to showing you how to replace those bushes with one of our rebuild kits and show you how much difference it makes. Okay, so we're just going to move on to removing the factory shifter. So it's a good idea just to make sure your car's in neutral and also your handbrake's on as well. And then we're just going to start by removing just these 4 hold down bolts which hold this plate onto the shifter housing here. So we'll just remove these bolts here. Okay, so now we've got all those 4 bolts removed, we can just remove the shifter just like that, and then we can have a bit of a look as to what's going on. So we can see on this shifter here, there's this bottom bush, so you can probably see that massive split in there, and also it's just hugely loose lock on the ball on the bottom of the shifter shaft as well. So that would be where a lot of the problem is. And next we're just going to move the camera in to the shifter housing as well, just to show you what the bush in there looks like as well. Okay, so we've just got a close-up of the shifter housing here, and we can see what the other problem was with this shifter is this in here, if you can see it okay, is the remains of the factory shifter bush. So it's made out of a rubbery kind of substance. They really are pretty ordinary, and they fall apart quite quickly because they're usually, they've got in contact with gearbox oil anyway. So we're going to remove that bush, we're going to give this housing a really good clean up. And then we're going to come back to the installation. Just one other thing to check while you're in here, if you've got a W55, W57 or W58, there's also another bush like right down in here, which is inside the offset lever. In this case, this bush is in absolutely mint condition, but quite often these are absolutely hatted as well. So we do actually do a replacement for that bush in case you need it, and we're going to be doing a video soon to show you how to install it. Okay, so we're going to move on to just removing this bush, giving this shifter housing a clean up, and we'll be back with you soon. So now we're just going to have a look at the bushes that come with the kit. So they're a heavy duty bush which will last much longer than your factory original. So we'll just start off with here, we've got the cut bush which goes on the end of your shifter lever, and then you can see here we've got 2 pivot bushes or donut bushes which go inside your shifter housing. So we've supplied 2 different types here. You'll only actually need to use one. We always recommend starting with the one that's got the X marked on the packet. Basically what it is there's 2 different profiles of ball on the shifter lever. So we've supplied both possible types. So now we'll move on to the installation process. So moving on with the installation, we're just going to install the new bush onto the end of your shifter lever. So first we'll just remove the old bush. So an easy way to do this is just to use a pair of pliers and just lever the old bush off like that. So just being careful not to damage the shifter. This bush pretty much fell off because it's completely gone. And then just grab a small amount of bearing grease and just put that on the end of the ball of the shifter lever just to make it easy to install the new bush. And then you just grab your new bush and sit it down on a bench so the cup side's facing up. Put the ball into the cup like that, and then just push down on the end of your shifter lever and it'll just snap in. So just like that. So now we're just going to put the new bush inside the shifter housing. So now we're just going to move on to the installation of our pivot bush inside the shifter housing. So as you can see, we've cleaned up the shifter housing nicely there, so it's all ready for the new bush. So the first thing we're going to do is just put a small amount of high temp bearing grease just inside the housing. So this is just going to make it easier just to pivot the new bush inside there. So the first bush we'll start trialling is the one with the X marked on the packet. So this probably fits like 95% of applications plus. So we'll start with that bush, and to install the bush, first to start off with, just have a look at these slots on the bush. So these slots need to locate on the pins inside the shifter housing. So you sit the bush upside down like that with the slots on top of the pins. and then pivot the bush into the shifter housing so it snaps in just like that. And then the next thing we'll do is we're just going to trial fit the shifter in there just to make sure that this bush is correct for this shifter, and we'll soon find out just by trial fitting the shifter in there. So it can be a bit tricky to line the bush up that goes into the gearbox, but we've got it there. So it turns out that this bush inside the shifter housing is actually not the right size. So what we want is this part of the shifter to be flush or slightly lower than the shifter housing. So we're going to have to just remove the shifter and remove that pivot bush and just install the different size one. So we'll just quickly do that now. We'll just install the different size bush. Sit the shifter back in there. And as you can see now, this part of the shifter is flush with the top of the shifter housing, which is exactly what we want. Alright, so we've got all our shifter bushings installed now, so all that remains now is just to do up this plate onto the shifter housing. So we'll just speed up through this bit. Alright, so you just need to torque all these bolts up evenly, just so they're nice and tight. They don't need to be too tight though. And then we can check it out. So we'll just put it through a couple of gears there. So when it's in gear now, it's got next to no movement at all. That's just massively tighter than what it was, and it also moves a lot more freely as well because of the new bush inside the shifter housing. So now you're all ready to go. All you need to do is put your car back together again, take it out for a test drive, shift some gears and have some fun. Thanks for watching.